So continuing on from the last video where I told you that the core teachings have remained secret, the magic has gone underground and consciousness has spiraled downwards more into the material realm. So with that, we see that this doctrine is being preserved secretly. That's what HPB believes. That's what the masters of Shambhala do. They preserve all of humanity's history. But of course, there are the Lipikas, who are the karma recorders in the astral world, which I will talk about as we get into this. But please understand that this wisdom knowledge became was given to very select few. So then whenever you have such control, there arises hegemony. You have power over other people because you hold the keys to the mystery. So thereby a lot of exploitation started with the religions, and as their base, secret teachings got more and more underground. We can see that incorrect teachings, incorrect understandings arose. Okay. Unable to teach all that had been imparted to him, owing to his pledge, though he taught a philosophy built upon the groundwork of the true esoteric knowledge, the Buddha gave to the world only its outward material body and kept its soul for the elect. So even the teachings of Gautama Buddha that we see around in all of the Mahayana, the Hinayana, the Vajrayana, all of these, Vajrayana is more of the secret or cult sect, but any the Zens, all of this was the outer garb that he gave to the public. But the soul of it, this wisdom teaching that Buddha was distributing, he kept that soul for the arhats. Okay, so again, Buddhism, if understood without its keys and without proper esoteric teaching, can appear dualistic and of course nihilistic, because ultimately there is no God per se. In Buddhism is shunyata, right? And we have Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and other deities which are energy manifestations, like what Alexandra David Neal understood when she was working with tulpas. And they are, the tulpas are beings that we create with our own energy. Sometimes most of the times in the etheric world, because most of us do not have access to the causal world. Only very few people like yogis and sadhaks can understand and reach that causal world. Okay, and then you have the world of the ether. We are going to get into all of that. So, many Chinese scholars among Orientalists have heard of the soul doctrine. None seem to have understood its real meaning and importance. So the soul doctrine is the key to open all this information. If that is the code word, that is the hack. Okay, it is the soul doctrine. Many people have heard about the soul doctrine, but not too many people are aware of what it means. This is what HPB is telling us. The doctrine was preserved secretly, too secretly perhaps, within the sanctuary. The mystery that shrouded its chief dogma and aspirations. Nirvana has so tried and irritated the curiosity of the scholars who have studied it, that unable to solve it logically and satisfactorily by untying the Gordian knot, they cut it through by declaring that nirvana meant absolute annihilation. So we've heard many of the Orientalists of the yesteryears, without really looking at what nirvana or moksha, what they mean, they thought it was a complete annihilation of the consciousness. When you get merged Okay, so the Christian doctrine is separate. It's the eternal hell or heaven. You go meet up with people you love, or you are thrust down into hell, where you burn in hellfire through the different realms of hell. We know about Dante's Inferno, which again is a very valid discussion, we will definitely delve into that. So towards the end of the quarter, the first quarter of the century, a distinct class of literature appeared in the world, which became with every year more defined in its tendency, being based soi disant on the scholarly researches of Sanskritists and Orientalists in general. It was held scientific. Hindu, Egyptian, and other ancient religious myths and emblem were made to yield anything the symbologist wanted them to yield, thus often giving out the rude outward form in place of the inner meaning. So a lot of this ancient Egyptian and Vedic texts and symbols were kind of wasted on the Christian missionaries, or on the scholars who looked at all this with a typically Christian mind. Okay, so there's a myth there's a story. It's not a myth; it's real. When the missionaries came to Khajuraho, they desecrated the temple, and Khajuraho is all about erotic love statues, showing different kinds of sexuality, showing different kinds of understanding of the sexual energy as being the creatrix of the universe. So Christian missionaries desecrated it, spoke ill of these heathen folk, this uncultured, unsophisticated people. But those sexual symbols were actually symbols of the greater mystery. As we delve into the esoteric doctrines, we will understand what Methna means. It is, in the most gross understanding, the meeting point of the lingam and the yoni, or the male-female parts. But it is the symbol of the union of Shiva and Shakti, right? So these symbols that were coming out from ancient Egypt and coming out from India were being mistranslated, or they were being looked at with the lens of Christian understanding of the deeper mysteries, and they were getting perverted because no one was looking at the soul doctrine. Remember, with every text in the world can be read like this, there are actually many layers of meaning in a text usually. Okay, it's up to us to understand with our mind, with our body, with our soul, the true meaning, the meaning that is pertinent to us, right? So this is very important to understand. Now, works most remarkable for their ingenious deductions and speculations in circulo vicioso, foregone conclusions generally changing places with premises, as in the syllogisms of more than one Sanskrit and Pali scholar. Sorry for that. Syllogisms, okay, appeared rapidly in succession, overflooding the libraries with dissertations rather on phallic and sexual worship than on real symbology, and each contradicting the other. So in this complex paragraph, what we understand, what I just told you, that all the deep symbols of Khajuraho, of the Kama Sutra, of the understanding of the Tantric concept of Methuna, all of this was perverted. The Shiva Lingam was perverted in its understanding. It was made to look like just a phallus or a male organ, but it is not. It is a very, very deep and profound meaning that it carries, the Shiva Lingam. Okay? So everything became phallic, and everything, all the pagan literature, all of it became all about phallicism and sex worship. But it was much, much more than that. And these people with their particular brand of understanding did not subscribe to those meanings, right? so they were lost to them. That is the true reason, perhaps, why the outline of a few fundamental truths from the secret doctrine of the archaic ages is now permitted to see the light after long millenniums of the most profound silence and secrecy. I say a few truths advisedly because that which must remain unsaid could not be contained in 100 such volumes, nor could it be imparted to the present generation of Sadducees. The Western people, that's what she means, the Western audience. Okay, but even the little that is now given is better than complete silence upon those vital truths. The world of today, in its mad career towards the unknown, which it is too ready to confound with the unknowable, whenever the problem eludes the grasp of the physicist, unknowable is rapidly progressing on the reverse. Material plane of spirituality is rapidly progressing to the reverse. So as I said, that everything is now on a downward spiral. Okay, everything is in a downward spiral. It has now become a vast arena, a true valley of discord and of eternal strife, a necropolis wherein lie buried the highest and the most holy aspirations of our spirit soul. That soul becomes with every new generation more paralyzed and atrophied. The amiable infidels and accomplished profligates of society spoken of by Greeley care little for the revival of the dead sciences of the past. But there is a fair minority of earnest students who are entitled to learn the few truths that may be given to them now. And now, much more than 10 years ago, when Isis unveiled, or even the later attempts to explain the mysteries of esoteric science were published. So she says by this paragraph that yes, it is time now to expose some of these fundamental truths that have been handed down from the Arhats. It is time, although most of this doctrine will be rejected by most, okay, and because this is the age of materialism, as she keeps stressing, everything must be certified with empirical evidence. Have you observed your experiment? Okay, and now we see with the double slit experiment that observation actually challenges the results, changes the results, not challenges, changes the results. A wave becomes a particle if you observe it. So I mean now we are playing in the realm of the metaphysical. If you look at the science community now, we have many worlds theory, universes bleeding into each other. We have daughter universes. We have the understanding that many worlds exist, and every time we make a decision, we create an alternate universe. So I mean, this was a realm of science fiction, if not metaphysics. But as I said that at that point when she wrote this book in the 19th century, the understanding that soul existed, it was not considered fashionable in the scientific circles. You had to be a materialist. You had to give up on the spirit side of it. It doesn't exist. What you can see, what you can understand, what you can interact with, your five senses, that exists. Nothing else exists. But now we know that an atom is 99.9999999% empty. Essentially everything is emptiness. We are contemplating the fact that this could all be a simulation. We could all be living in a science project that probably got a C. I think that Degrassi said this somewhere, that what if we are a project in some alien kid's shelf and we got a C because look at us. So this is again, there are few people who are looking for the truth, but truth is not yet open for everybody to see, because we are still in the realm of dense vibrations, which keeps everything hidden. We'll get to all of that, but let's understand this. The third eye has been atrophied by every generation, and we feel more paralyzed spiritually. Do you see that happening around you? I mean, since Neptune entered Pisces, yes, we've seen a whole resurrection of spirituality, but I mean, if you really look at it, we are not really understanding consciousness the way we need to. As Nikola Tesla said, that when science begins to look at consciousness, it will progress so much in a decade that it hasn't in hundreds of years. So this is something to consider, that what lies beyond all this phenomena. What caused this phenomenon? So that was it. Now, one of the greatest and withal the most serious objection to the correctness and reliability of the whole work will be the preliminary stanzas. How can the statements contained in them be verified? So of course, the secret doctrine is broken up in stanzas, which I will read to you, and then we will go into the discussion of each stanza. But this was one big question, that, you know, how do we know this is verifiable knowledge? How can we trust Blavatsky? Because a lot of questions popped up, and people did not want to believe all this, because in this materialistic world, it is hard to believe the existence of Shambhala. But she says that true, if a great portion of the Sanskrit, Chinese and Mongolian works quoted in the present volumes are known to some Orientalists, the chief work, the one from which the stanzas are given, is not in the possession of European libraries. The book of Xian, or Zan, D-Z-A-N or D-Z-Y-A-N, Xian, okay, is utterly unknown to our philologists, or at any rate was never heard of by them under its present name. That is, of course, a great drawback to those who follow the methods of research prescribed by official science. But to the students of occultism and to every genuine occultist, this will be of little moment. The main body of the doctrines given is found scattered throughout hundreds and thousands of Sanskrit manuscripts, some already translated, disfigured in their interpretations. As usual, others are still awaiting their turn. Every scholar, therefore, has an opportunity of verifying the statements herein made, and of checking most of the quotations. A few new facts, new to the profane Orientalist only, and passages quoted from the commentaries will be found difficult to trace. Several of the teachings also have hitherto been transmitted orally, yet even those are in every instance hinted at in the almost countless volumes of Brahminical, Chinese and Tibetan temple literature. So Blavatsky was also demonized for and was vilified when people said that, okay, you know, this woman just copied Sanskrit, Tibetan and Chinese texts. And this was secret doctrine, was nothing new. This is wrong, because look here, she says it. She says a lot of this fact has been given. I am stringing the pearls in a necklace. I am giving to you what a lot of this is known. A lot of this is found in the texts of the Brahminical, Chinese and Tibetan temple literature. So she clarifies this in her introduction, that don't accuse her of plagiarism, because she clearly says it right here. Okay, it's very small, which is why sometimes I'm doing double lines, but forgive that. Let's look at the bigger picture, right? However it may be, and whatsoever is in store for the writer, though malevolent criticism, one fact is quite certain: the members of several esoteric schools, the seat of which is beyond the Himalayas, and whose ramifications may be found in China, Japan, India, Tibet, and even in Syria, besides South America, claim to have in their possession the sum total of sacred and philosophical works in MSS and all the works, in fact, that have ever been written in whatever language or character since the art of writing began, from the ideographic hieroglyphics down to the alphabet of Cadmus and the Devanagari. It has been claimed in all ages that ever since the destruction of the Alexandrian library, every work of a character that might have led the profane to the ultimate discovery and comprehension of some of the mysteries of the secret science was owing to the combined efforts of the members of the brotherhoods, diligently searched for. It is added, moreover, by those who know that once found, save 3 copies left and stored away, such works were all destroyed. In India, the last of the precious manuscripts was secured and hidden during the reign of Emperor Akbar. So this is true, that a lot of this true wisdom, knowledge has been hidden. And even in Indian, in some yogic traditions, you do hear of this, that they keep their works concealed and teach it only to the initiated. Okay, so join me for the next installment. Thank you.